Please welcome Ralph Tutela, everybody. Feel free to crack up in the tail, buddy.
Keep it going for Luke, everybody. Make some noise for that motherfucker. I'm in the back of the room watching you guys. I'm like, what kind of audience is this? Then I saw you get up and do drugs with him on stage. I said, I'm in fucking trouble. Like, you have no idea what you did, huh? And she's like, do you have another one? Oh, my name is Ralph Tutela Jr. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you guys for sitting in the splash zone. Is that what that... Is that like it's safer back there? It's like, and I watch you guys come in, you're like, nope, right behind this yellow line right here. You got, how many locals am I fucking with here? Make some noise if you live in Carson. You know, listen, raising hands is not going to help me. These lights are blinding me, all right? All right, how many out-of-towners? What? Are they not allowed here? Is that like this is nice going to a casino that has a real local vibe. I came up from Vegas, right? So, and I'm like, and all the time in Vegas, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go out of town because I've been working on some shit about gambling. And as I finished it, it was like the first spot was Carson City. I go, I'm not going to do it there either, right? That's like the rule. You don't fuck around. Like, I've been gambling here, too. I'd be playing these machines if they would take my money right now. Like, through the whole set. I'm like, here you go. And I love the Nugget, though. I love this little, I love the advertising. Like, who's that model? You seen that model? It's the one model they had do everything. The one day she was here, she's on the front of the building. She was even on the diner restaurant menu. I was like, it's like after she took her money picture, she came in here and had eggs. Right? She's not in here, is she? Getting mad at me. My name is Ralph Tutela Jr. A little fun fact, I don't know if you guys know this, but all Ralphs are juniors. It's the only way you get that fucking name. It's from another Ralph. Right? Still pissed off at my father for that shit. My dad, his favorite thing to do with me when I was a kid was watch horror movies. You guys like horror movies? Yeah? Yeah. I grew up watching horror movies. 5 years old, watching Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm on one couch, shivering and crying. I looked to my father for comfort. He's on the other couch, laughing, holding the TV guide, getting ready to throw it at me at the scary parts. Then as soon as the movie was over, he was always like, all right, Ralph, take the dog for a walk and head to bed. It's like, you dick, right? And it was weird because he'd let me watch people killed in a million ways. I could watch people decapitated, shoved into a wood chipper. Right? Remember Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I could watch Leatherface shave somebody's face off with a roast beef cutter, wear their skin as a mask and scare everybody on the farm. And my father's just sitting there laughing and laughing. But God forbid a titty popped out at any point during that movie, that man would lose his mind. He'd be like, Ralph, cover your eyes. And I'm like, all right, that's the part you don't want me to see is the breast, huh? Just saw a lady shoved in a wood chipper, but at least she had all her clothes on. My favorite is Friday the 13th. You guys remember that one? I get stoned and watch movies all the time. That's like my favorite thing to do. And I still watch horror movies. And I recently went through that whole Friday the 13th. Just got getting stoned for each one of them. And by the fourth movie, I was so high. Right? If you guys don't know, it's about Jason Voorhees. Little boy goes to camp, and he's swimming, and he drowns because all the counselors are off having sex. He gets pretty pissed off about this, comes back and kills people for like 20 movies. And I'm sitting there, and by like the fourth movie, I started thinking to myself, why the fuck they keep opening that camp back up? It just sounds like a terrible idea, right? I was so high, I started thinking, don't they have a meeting for summer camps in April where they go over last year's numbers? Camp Crystal Lake, like, all right, Judy, give us last year's numbers. She's like, all right, we had 17 kids and they're all dead. I think it's a terrible idea to open this place back up. Not a big bunch of horror fans in here. I was raised watching that. Now I'm a pussy. I'll still watch horror movies, but then I have to watch something like chill as soon as I'm done, right? Like The Wizard of Oz or like, I got to like calm down because I'm so freaked out. Wizard of Oz, that one cracks me up. That's about a little girl who lives in fucking Kansas, probably the worst state in the United States. I don't know if you've ever been through Kansas. It's like the longest friggin' ride ever. And she gets rescued from Kansas by a tornado, that's how I put it, and brought to a magical land where they're like, hey, would you like to be the wizard? And what does she say? There's no place like home. She's talking about fucking Kansas. I'm like, are you kidding me? I would have taken that job in a heartbeat. If those little bastards offered me that job, they'd be like, Ralph, would you like to be what, the wizard? Fuck yeah, I'll be the wizard. I would take Oz over. I remember the old wizard, nobody knew who he was. He was always hiding behind the curtain. I was like, who's the wizard? If it was me, they would know it. I would have my picture like Kim Jong-un all over Oz. They'd be like, who's the wizard? I'd be like, I think it's Ralph. I would have the Lollipop Guild out in the poppy field 24/7. Collecting, yeah, right. I don't hate the Lollipop Guild, or little people in general. I just want to let you know that. I actually have midgets on my bucket list. I've only got I got a real short bucket list because I pretty much do whatever I want. But I got a couple things on there. I want to be abducted by aliens, but not the anal probing kind. I just want to like get picked up by like E.T., smoked out, and drop back off. That's kind of what I'm going for. And I want to mud wrestle a midget. It's on my list. If you're so PC that pisses you off, fuck off. I don't care. And if you're a midget and that pisses you off, well, let's wrestle. That's right. I'm going to get my ass kicked by a midget someday for that shit. I've had midgets come up to me afterwards like, do you want to set that up next week? I'm like, no, I don't think that's a good look. You guys having fun? Sure. You guys have a good Christmas? I see the snow up there in the mountains. It gives me PTSD, right? Being from back east and just being, I mean, that's why I live in Vegas. I don't even own a pair of gloves. Right? I'm never outside that long that I need fucking gloves. Like, that's not happening. And I come up here and I saw the snow and I had flashbacks. I was like, oh shit. Man, that was like my father was, like I said, he was a psychopath, right? And everybody had a job in that house. Like the first thing I did was shovel snow. I remember doing that. School was canceled, grab the shovel. You're fucking heading out to work. And you just go door to door, just knocking on doors like, hey, can I shovel your car out? People have a walkway 10 miles to their fucking car, and you like shovel it all out. You come back, they give you like $2, right? I'm like, you sons of bitches, right? You watch the other brother. My father, he'd always be like, get out there before everyone else gets out there. I'm like, no one else is getting out there this morning. We got the market covered, right? And then I was a paper boy. Anybody old enough to be a paper boy in here? Right? Remember when they used to get the news delivered to the door? I used to do that shit. That was a bullshit gig, wasn't it? 7 days a week, they got little kids running around delivering these papers loaded in bags that are heavier than them, right? I'm out there dragging a bag 3 times the size of me in the snow trying to deliver these papers 7 days a week. Sunday, they'd be 3 times as big. I remember quitting that job, and the job I got right after it was a lot easier. It was just on Fridays when I went around and stole the money from the new paper boy. Knew right where he kept that shit. Used to be a dishwasher all the time. Anybody ever do dishes? No? He's just like, no, I was like, do I have? Like, none of you guys ever had to take that shitty-ass fucking job, right? That's the worst. They pay you minimum wage, whatever it is, and you can never stand around. Like, you be sitting around, you finally caught up on the dishes, and they're like, what are you doing? Taking a break? Why don't you pull the fridge out and, like, clean behind there? It's like, I left every dishwashing job the same way. Finally, one day, they just yell at me to take the trash out. Like, take the trash out. And I'm like, sure will. Right, and I throw it in, and I just keep fucking walking. Right? Like that's probably had 30 dishwashing jobs through my teens. Been running. I've always been running around. I got this saying: "It's I'm serious about not being serious." It's tattooed on me. That's like what I live by. I don't do political shit because I don't give a fuck. I don't do religion because I don't give a damn. Right? No racist shit. I just live my life, man. I'm out there having fun. Always have, and I make terrible decisions, so it turns into good stories. Right, like all through my teens, I was fucked up, and then in my late teens, early 20s, I said I gotta get my shit together. Right? And what's the best way to get your shit together as a young man? Get a job would have been good, but I was sick of dishwashing. Right? So I joined the Army. I joined the Army, and we got any military in here? Make some noise if you're military. All right, it's a safe place to tell this story then, because I joined the Army fucked up. In New Orleans. I woke up on Bourbon Street one morning, right? And my brother was next to me covered in breadcrumbs with no shoes on. And I was trying to pace the night before together, and I'm like, I have no idea what happened. I said, this is out of control. I need to change my life. I went right to the Army place, and I went to sign up. That guy helped me sign my name. Like, I was literally still hungover from the night before. He's like, oh, yeah, we'll help you out. I could have sworn I heard him say, gotcha, as soon as I finished. I was like... And I was like, oh, fuck, I felt impregnated by the U.S. military. And I felt committed, too. I was like, this was like something for the first time in my life. I'm like, I can't just leave. And so it was 3 months before I could leave for basic training. And when I signed up, I weighed 230 pounds. He told me 2 things. Number 1, you're going to have to lose some weight. I said, no problem. I said, I'm ready to change my life. He said, number 2, he goes, can you pass a drug test? I said, not right now. He said, that's okay. We'll get to that later, too. Fast forward 3 months later when I'm getting ready to go and I show up at the MEPS, I now weigh 270 pounds. I had gained 40 pounds before I left for basic training. I walk in, I go, what the fuck? I said, what? I've been sitting around waiting to go, man. I told you, my life's out of control. I said, this is all yours. Do something with it. And I did. I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. They shipped me out. I showed up. That before I left, they said, could you pass a drug test? And I said, all right, this is where I knew I had my out. All right, because honestly, I'd been doing cocaine all fucking week to make sure that this deal didn't go through. And so they had me take a piss test, and he comes out, and he goes, you're good to go. And I was like, the fuck I am. There is no way. Retest me, please. This cannot be happening. And I did. I went down to Fort Leonard Wood, and I spent 3 months down there training to be a combat engineer. Yeah, when I signed up, I'm pretty sure they only used the word engineer. Because then when I showed up, they're like, I don't know if you know what a combat engineer is. I turned to the guy next to me. I said, did he say a combat engineer? I said, that doesn't sound like we're building buildings. Right? They taught me how to defuse a landmine with my hands. A skill set that I knew from that moment I would never use in my life. They're yelling at me to get it right. You're like, this could be life or death. I'm like, it will never be. I will throw rocks at that fucker from 10 yards away to try to set it off. You will never see my hands on a landmine. Right? I was so pathetically out of shape down there. You got to pass a 2-mile run to get out of basic training. That was like the test the whole time. It was like, till you can do this 2 miles, you ain't getting out of here. And I'm like, and you had to do it in some god-awful amount of time. It was under 2 hours. Anyways, I know somewhere in that area. And like the first time I was running it, I was so slow. I was the last guy done. And like everybody's sitting there waiting, and the drill sergeant comes up. He's walking next to me. I'm just covered in sweat. And he's like, get the fuck off the track. And I looked at him, and I figured this was my Rocky moment, right? I looked right at him, and I said, no, drill sergeant, I want to finish. And he looked right back at me and goes, you think we got all day to wait for you to finish 2 fucking miles? I said, get off the track right now. I said, you son of a bitch. They call me, my name's Ralph Tutela, they call me Private 2-Ton. It was, when I graduated, I was Private 1-Ton. Now, when I say I joined the Army, let me clarify. I knew I wanted to make a life-altering change. But I also didn't want to get too carried away with it, so I joined the National Guard. I figured I could do 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summer. This shouldn't be too bad. Right? I had trained properly. I'd watched Full Metal Jacket, In the Army Now, all these movies, getting ready to go to basic, right? And then at the end of basic, I was like, hey, listen, drill sergeant, I want to go full-time Army. I mean, I weighed 202 pounds at the end of basic training. This was 3 months later. Right? And I still couldn't defuse a landmine with my hands. But it didn't matter. I was like, let me go full-time Army. And they said, you are a changed man, Private 1-Ton. I said, when you get back home, you just fill out the paperwork, you'll go full-time Army. He was wrong. We were high and drunk on the plane ride back. I got back. Then this is the type of guy I was in my early 20s. Next thing you know, bam, I was in a carnival in Arizona. I don't even know how the fucking happened. I got home. I was like, all right, I'm going to go full-time Army. I started partying. I showed up to the first weekend. I did 1 weekend. I had a beard almost as long as this. They laid right into me. I said, I don't think this is going to work out. I don't think this was a good plan. And so I just ended up driving, and I ended up in Arizona in a carnival. Anybody ever travel with the carnival before? We don't have a lot in common here, but that's okay. I'm going to fill you guys in. You ever wonder what that lifestyle is like? First of all, you got to pass a very intense interview process to work for the carnival. You have to have a pulse for at least 10 seconds. You got to be able to breathe through your nose a little, right? That's it. And you do all that, you're in. And I showed up here, and I ran the goldfish game. You guys remember this game? You ever been? Well, I take it some of you guys who played this game is where you throw a ball and you get it in the dish, and if you get it in, you win a fish. Right? Simple as shit. I let everybody win because I hated traveling with leftover fish. Right? I don't know if you, listen, I would get the fish on Thursday or Friday. It would depend. They would mail them to me. Right? This is a weird-ass shit right here. They would mail me these frozen fish, and I would drop them in the water, and then they'd come to life. It's like that's pretty awesome. Like, can we give away the frozen fish as gifts? Let the kids do this at home? Like, that's cool looking. And so I get these fish, but sometimes they wouldn't come in early enough. And I'd be out there, and this is like, you're traveling with the carnival every week, you're going to a different spot. And I'd be like, all right, I got no fish, and we're getting ready to open. So we would go down to Walmart and buy up all their fish. But we couldn't tell them we were with the carnival. Right? Like, so they'd be out. I'm like, I'll take, what do you got there? About 100 goldfish? I'll take those. They'd be like, what are you doing? I'm like, starting a koi pond. That's what's going on here. Just give me all your fish. Like all your 33-cent goldfish. Okay, and then the whole weekend, my mission was to get rid of every one of those fucking fish. I didn't care. Parents would be walking by, and I ran the game sensation, Sweeping the Nation, the game they're talking about the most from coast to coast, folk, happening right here. I'm your host. Step right up. Right? I was having so much fun with that shit. And parents would walk by, I'd be like, hey, you guys want to play? And they'd be like, nah, he's not going to play because he's not going to win. And I'm like, oh, no, he's going to win here. Everybody's going to win today. And they'd be like, why? What's he going to win? He's going to win a fish. They'd be like, he better not win. He's getting a fish. Keep it up. He might get a rabbit. Had those out there, too. I watch kids with those fish. I'd watch teenagers, because if you win a fish, I throw it in a bag, I tie it up, I hand it off. We're just handing off fish all fucking day. And sometimes I'd watch kids. I'd see teenagers over there throwing the fish back and forth like a football, right? Punting it to each other and shit. And they come back, and they're just like, hey, mister, my fish is dead. I'm like, I don't even give a shit. There you go. I don't care, right? It's not, nobody really cares about goldfish either. Right? Is there anybody in here from PETA? No? That's all right. I didn't think so. You have a goldfish? And what happened to it? Somebody swallowed it. Did this happen accidentally? This is the same lady who took the pill on stage a few minutes ago, right? Does it surprise anyone? She's hanging out with people swallowing goldfish. Well, it was an accident? Is that what you're going to say?
No, it was not. He swallowed it and it came back up and he lived for a year and then he died and I named him Bud.
He swallowed the fish, he threw it up, and the fish lived for another year.
Yep.
That's disgusting. Sir, have you ever eaten a goldfish? No. What's the worst thing you've ever eaten? Can't tell me? Why, is it a secret? You don't want the rest of the room to know? One time I was in San Diego. What was her name? And he said, exactly, this. I don't like where this is going. This is getting dangerous over here. She might be in the room. One time I was in San Diego, and I had ordered a sausage, and I had it delivered to my hotel room, and I was eating it, and I realized, I was like, that doesn't look like a fucking sausage, man. I'm like, the hell is that? And I called up the restaurant. I said, listen, man, I don't know what the fuck I'm eating, but, like, it's not a sausage. And the guy goes, oh, it's the best. I said, the best what? He goes, whatever it is, it's the best. We only serve the best here. I was like, it's the best, but you can't even tell me. To this day, I tell myself it was turkey gizzard or like something like that, but I have no fucking idea. That was probably the worst thing I've ever eaten outside of the females that you're talking about. You guys like living here in Carson City? Listen, I was recently, me and my girlfriend had come up this way, and I don't like wine. I think all wine tastes like paint thinner. I hate wine. But I was like, you agree with me, right? So I wanted to really give it a try, so we were up this way, and we stopped at Napa Valley, and we were going to go to a winery. Napa Valley's expensive. So we went on the other side of the hill and went to Cache Creek. Because it's like a little less expensive place down the road. And we went down there, and have you ever been to the winery and done their little tasting thing? They bring you out 5 shots of wine. I don't know if that's what they call it in the wine world, but that's what I was calling. I was like, line them up. Let's do this. So the guy was like, hang on. I want to explain them to you. And each one, he had this, like, 3 paragraphs of all different flavors I was going to taste. He's like, oh, it's going to be cherries. It's going to be like a barky finish. I'm like, did you say barky? What the fuck is that? It's like all kinds of nuts. I was like, can we speed this up? We both know it's going to taste like paint thinner. Let's go. And then when he was all done, I just started taking the shots, and I could tell by the look on his face this was not the normal way to go about this. And they did all taste like paint thinner. And then he left, and I turned to my girlfriend, and I said, all right, listen, I think I'm going to throw up. She goes, you better not. I said, you better get a bucket. That wine definitely tastes like paint thinner. They didn't win me over. I didn't puke. And we left, and we were driving over the Donner Pass. You guys know the Donner Party? I've talked to people lately, and they don't even know who the Donners are. This is the first time I've told this story, though, where it's possible someone in this room is related to them. They were survivors, right? For those who are, in school, I was taught about the Donners. It was so cool to be on the Donner Pass, and I had these 5 shots of wine in me, and I was like, oh. I said, let me look up that story, because we can do that now, right? You can just get on your phone and just look shit up. And I was like, Donner Party. Donner Party were not the innocent victims I was taught in school. Have you ever looked into this story? They killed 2 people before the snow even fell, right? These guys were psychopaths. They were taking a trail that wasn't invented. And the most interesting part of the whole Donner Party story that I saw was a group called the Forlorn Party. You ever heard of these guys? They were part of the Donner Party. And then they saw everybody eating each other and getting out of control, so they left. They're like, we're getting the fuck out of here. They were gone for 30 days trying to get over those Sierra Mountains. Do you know how many people they ate in 30 days? 8. 8 people. They did not need a rescue party. They needed Weight Watchers. How do you eat 8? Like, who's in charge of the meat rationing for this group? I was so stunned when I saw that. I remember one time in Tucson, we didn't have food for like a month. Me and 2 other roommates, Phil and Travis. We lived off of fucking mustard packets. I remember that. We were sitting there eating mustard going, I have no idea if there's any nutritional value in this. But at no point did I look at those guys and go, you're next. Right? He's going to start hacking you up. 8 people, 30 days. You'll actually gain weight, I think, with that amount. Wouldn't want to do that. How do I look tonight? I was supposed to be in a shirt contest with Brian. You guys know Brian? He's a normal guy who's hosting here. Luke's doing a fantastic job. But Brian set me up, and he was like, all right, we'll have a shirt off. That's what we called it. And so I had a shirt on last night that I'd gotten from the mall. And then this one tonight, this is one of my personal favorites. I bought this at the swap meet. I love shopping at the swap meet, right? You ever buy clothes at the swap meet? You ever shop at the swap meet at all? Do you like it? I'll get stoned and hang out there all day long. And their clothing salesmen are the best. This shirt, this is how this happened. I was walking by his little cubicle, and I was just looking at the shirts. I did a little back step. So, took one step forward, and before you know it, I had the shirt on. I had no idea how it happened. I looked at him, and he goes, you look good in that. I said, all right, I'll take it. And then he talked me into the matching belt, too. This guy was a real salesman, I'm telling you, right? Get all my clothes from him now. You guys drinking? Nobody on crystal meth in here? No. Good. The rest of the city is. Tweakers piss me off. Here's why. Only for one thing. Only one thing. The only one thing they do that piss me off. Why do tweakers do everything fast except for cross the fucking road? Right? You see this guy on a bike, he's Lance Armstrong running down a sidewalk, he's Usain Bolt, time to cross the road, biggest fucking decision he's ever made in his life, right? And you pull up, you just got to watch the whole shit show. You never know when he's going to take off. As soon as it says don't walk, that's when he's going. So you got to, and don't beat the horn at him because then he'll just freeze like a deer caught in the headlights. Like, how the fuck did I get here? Right? If there's any tweakers in the room, I don't hate you. Just cross the road faster. That's all we're doing here. Are there any tweakers in here? We said no. Just one? Is this an on day or a down day? Down day. I go back east. I'm from New England. I go back there, and I have to try to switch it up and make it a bath salt joke. Like that's their thing back there. They don't. Crystal meth never hit that New England area. Anybody ever been in there? Who's been to Boston before? Make some noise. Never even been? No one in the room's ever even been there, huh? I don't blame you. It's a long way to go. I was raised in Boston. I was bullied as a child. You can probably tell that. This is what happens when you bully somebody too much. I was bullied. Like, I remember the kids that bullied me. I still have a resentment to Weird Al Yankovic to this day. Right? Because he came out with that song, you met him? Is that what he said? He came out with that song, Fat, when I was 13 years old, and I used to get my ass kicked to kids singing that song, right? Then they would throw in a little Eat It, right? You ever have your ass kicked while you're listening to Weird Al, sung by some kid trying to do Michael Jackson moves? It's just weird shit. And even my friends, even not just the bullies, like the friends I hung out with in Boston, they were just as bad. The games we played, we used to play bag tag. You ever play bag tag? It's when you're sitting there talking to somebody and then one of your friends comes up and just punches you in the balls real quick. Very popular game where I lived. That and pantsing. You ever been pantsed? Never. Pantsing when they come up and just pull your pants right down, right? This is a fun game to play on your friend. As a male, there's 2 ways to experience a pantsing. And this is either a moment of triumph or a moment of humiliation, right? Guys who aren't so well hung, they get pantsed. They come down quick, but they come up even quicker. And they just scan the room. They go, did anybody see anything? I don't want a list of all names before everybody leaves here. Well-hung guys, whole different story. They get pantsed, and they go, oh, got me again, you sons of bitches. Let me pull these back up. Everybody get a picture? And traveling around, trying to find things we have in common. There's too much arguing going on. I try to find things that we have everywhere. Tweakers is number one thing I see in every city. Number two would be a billboard for a company called We Buy Ugly Houses. You guys seen this? All right. Who's ever used it? Make some noise. Now, why the fuck would you? It's We Buy Ugly Houses. Got that caveman on there, right? Who would call these people up? Like, you call them up, you're like, hi, is this Ugly Houses? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, oh, fantastic. I got a real piece of shit I was wondering if you guys would be interested in. Right? Then they send, I want the job as their appraiser. They send a guy to come out and just convince you your house is ugly enough for ugly houses to buy. He just starts looking around. He's like, oh, my God. Did you build this yourself? This place is atrocious. We'd have to rip up all the rugs before we bought it from you. Who lived here before you? Right? And they look like they're covered in piss. Who lived here before you? R. Kelly? I stepped on it. I don't hate to, yeah, that threw me off. I know, yeah, all that shit. So as driving around, I'm with my girlfriend right now. I just started telling you guys. Me and my girlfriend driving around. I like driving around with my dog the most, right? I got a little pit bull, Hazel, and my girlfriend knows. Yeah, we'll talk about her in a minute. She's back at the hotel room right now. And I love my dog, and I love my girlfriend. And we just drive around. I don't like doing road trips with other comedians. Always, like, because, like, there's always something. Like, the last guy I was with had one of those fake diseases. Don't panic. I might not be talking about yours. Like this, his fake disease was misophonia. Anybody ever heard of this shit? Right? So what happened was I was sitting there, and I was eating some lunch, and this guy next to me just goes like this. You chew like a fucking cow. I said, first of all, I'm eating soup. Where's your problem? And he goes, and then he apologized. He goes, I'm sorry, I have misophonia. I said, what the fuck is misophonia? He goes, well, when I hear certain noises, you know, it causes a reaction in me. I said, let me get this straight. You got disease, and when you hear certain noises, it turns you into an asshole? Because that's what just happened. I looked up misophonia. I said, hey, misophonia doesn't come with a side of Tourette's, buddy. You have no right to just start talking to me like that, right? I told him I got a disease, too. It's called I hate people with misophonia. Comes with side effects, too, like muscle spasms. Pow! Punch him right in his face. All these fake diseases. I had, what do they say I had when I was a kid? They called it suppressed organizational skills. Yeah, I think it was ADD before they were giving everyone ADD, right? And I get it to this day. Like, I learned I can't relax. Like, I try to relax all the time. Like, I'll burn 3 incense, 2 candles. We're going to listen to 3 CDs before I'm finally wound down enough. You know, like, this is just to get ready to write or just do anything around the house. I learned that from my father. We used to go camping all the time when I was a kid. And I would watch this man try to relax. Have you ever seen someone like this? Like, he'd let the whole neighborhood know what he was doing, too. He was like, relaxing over here. And just if anybody made eye contact with him, he'd be right on it. I'm the same way. I'm just, like, tense. And I do things to try to relax. I get massages in Vegas all the time. I take not those type of massages. I get legit massages. What do you call them? Sad-ending massages? Is that the name of them? Right. And, of course, I'll smoke weed. I'll stay stoned, man. I like to, you know what I love to do is take a bubble bath and eat some edibles. That's a good night for me. You know what I'm talking about, my friend? He's like, you lost me on the bath part, right? How many men in here take bubble baths? Make some noise. Not a one. You know, I got one. Are you helping me out or you really do it? You're helping me out? I'm telling you guys, I've been spreading the word, ladies. I'm sorry. Right? I'm telling you, bathtubs are not a woman's sport in my house anymore. Right? Tub time is a good time for me. I get the bubbles going. I put the music on. I make love to myself in there. Like, we have some fun there. Right? And when I first moved to Vegas, they had just legalized the pot. So I've been there about 4.5 years. So the pot had just become legal. Now, I've been a stoner my whole life. This is no big deal. But for the first time, I could eat a 100 milligram THC bar. I was excited. This is enough to tranquilize a horse, for those who don't know. I was very excited about this. And I got home, and I drew a bubble bath. And then I ate like 2 little pieces of it. I was going to ease my way into the candy bar that night. And I was in the bath for a while. Probably made love to myself that night. And I came out, and I'm looking for the candy bar. I'm like, where the fuck did I put that candy bar? And there in the corner is my 65-pound pit bull, Hazel, sitting next to the wrapper, staring up at the ceiling like she ain't done shit wrong. I said, oh, fuck. I panicked. I was like, I got to snitch on myself, first of all. So I called the vet up right away. I said, check it out. I said, my dog just ate 100 milligrams of THC. And to make it worse, it was wrapped up in chocolate. I said, I think I got a situation here. He said, you most definitely do have a situation. You need to bring her in right away. I said, all right, why? What are you guys going to do? And he said, well, we're going to feed her charcoal. She's going to get sick, but we're going to walk her through it, and she's going to be fine. I said, all right, we're on our way. Real quick, though, how much is that going to cost? He said about $500. I told him, this is my fault. We'll be there in a few. I hung up the phone. I looked at Hazel. I said, all right, we're on our own. I told her 300 was the number. I said, anything over that, you dig in your own grave. I did what I do. I rolled a blunt and got high with her. I put out 2 bowls of dog food. We watched All Dogs Go to Heaven. We had a fucking blast, right? We do it once a month now, a little doggy date night. We're going to do Benji later this month. I should do what my father did to me and make her watch a horror movie, right? Have her get high and watch Cujo and tell her to go take herself for a walk. Oh. I'm having fun with life, guys. I really am. So I got divorced about 6 years ago. And I was working in a nursing home for 10 years before that. That was my life. I know you guys can probably tell that by looking at me. But I worked in the same nursing home for 10 years. We got any healthcare workers in here? Still betting 1,000, huh? Whatever. Well, I've had 2 long-term careers in my life. Number 1, I was a relocation engineer for a long time. That's a furniture mover, for those who are unfamiliar. And John Wayne Bobbitt taught me how to move furniture. That's a true story. I just tell people all the time, if you guys know who John Wayne Bobbitt is, sometimes I'll get into younger crowds and they're like, is that the cowboy? Nope. No. John Wayne Bobbitt got his thing cut off and then thrown out of a window, right, by his wife. And then he got it reattached, enlarged, and he made movies. First one was called John Wayne Bobbitt Uncut. And the other one was Frankenpenis. These are actual movies this guy made. And he taught me how to move furniture. And I went on. I had my own moving company and stuff. And then when the crash happened in 2008, I was like, oh, what am I going to do? And so I went and got my LNA license through the Red Cross. And I became a nurse's assistant, which means I did everything a nurse doesn't want to do. I wiped ass for a living. That's pretty much what I had. And this was a big change from moving furniture. And I still had my gruff exterior. Now I'm in a nursing home, and I'm helping people with end-of-life stuff. Right? And I remember the first time that this really showed itself was a guy named Christopher. And I love Christopher. Christopher Stoneman, very good friend of mine. He had 2 college degrees. He was from England, very smart guy. But he was at the tail end of life. And he had just had an accident. He shit himself. So that's where I come in. And so I'm in there, and I got to clean him up. And I'm holding him up with one arm. Remember I said I move furniture? I'm pretty fucking strong. And then I was cleaning his ass up with my other arm because I should have stayed in school. And he just turns around, and he's looking at me, and he's crying. And I thought I heard him, and I backed up, and I said, I said, I'm sorry, Christopher. I said, you okay? And he goes, yeah, I just never thought my life would end up like this. And I looked right back at him, and I said, hey, guess what, buddy? That makes 2 of us. Said, you think my game plan was to clean up your shit? And he laughed. We became good friends like that. When he passed away, the night he was passing, his family called me up because he called me his orderly. He was always yelling, where's my orderly? That's what he would call me. And the night he was passing away, they called me up. They said, Christopher's not going to make it through the night. Do you want to come in and say goodbye? I said, yes, I would love to. And he hadn't spoken in like 2 days. And so I leaned down to him. I said, Christopher, before you go, I just want to let you know. I said, over the last 2 years, the 3 people that I've had the most conversations with are you, my wife, and my dog. And I can say without a doubt, the most intelligent conversations I have had have been with my dog. And he laughed, and the whole room cried. They invited me to talk to at his funeral and stuff. And I went on. I loved that job. They promoted me to activities director. That was my favorite gig. in that facility, was the activities director. I don't know if you've ever done this, but this is a good time. Take 10 old ladies with Alzheimer's to the mall. It's like taking the most aggressive gang of shoplifters you have ever seen in your life. They just start shoving shit down their pants, down there. They're like, oh, there, I put that there. I was wondering where it was. Like, security looking at me like, dude, you going to do something? I'm like, oh, hell no. No, I tried to get the remote from Judy last week. She almost clawed my eye out. There's no way I'm reaching down her bra, right? I had my favorite resident was a lady named Irene. And I remember we went, we were at the mall, and she had to go to the bathroom. And, like, this is the type of shit you deal with in a nursing home. And she was like, I need to go to the bathroom. I was like, I need to go with you. She's like, the hell you will. I said, I have to. It's safe. She goes, I have been through 2 world wars and 4 husbands. You are not following me into this bathroom. I was like, all right. I said, but please, hurry up. Okay. And so she went in. She was in there for a while. I was like knocking on the door. I yell. I hear nothing. I said, oh, shit. I come in there. She is sitting next to the toilet. And I help her up. I said, Irene, you okay? I check her out. Physically, she's fine. She goes, yeah, I'm okay. I said, what happened? She goes, well, I was just finishing up, and I slipped, and I fell down. I said, oh, shit, all right. And then I just waited a few minutes, and I said, all right, what just happened? And she goes, I don't really remember. I said, all right, good. It's time to go home. If you've never dealt with Alzheimer's, you better get creative with this shit, right? I used to wake Irene up the same way every morning. I would go into her room, and I would go, good morning, Irene, how you doing? She'd be like, hey, Ralph. And I would just step out of the room for a minute. And I'd step back in and go, good morning, Irene, how you doing? And she'd be like, hey, Ralph. And I'd step back out of the room, come back in. Good morning. She's like, what the hell's going on, Ralph? So it was an early onset test, and you passed, Irene. It's going to be a good day. Right? And if you work in a nursing home in New England, everybody's trying to escape all the time. Have you ever been to a nursing home? I know you guys got loved ones in there. I loved that job, and I loved these people. And in the wintertime, though, you got to keep them inside, keep them safe. It's fucking 20 below. Like right now, today, if you're outside for 15 minutes, back where I'm from, you're going to get frostbite. Like, it's that cold. And we had a huge hill at this nursing home. And if they went out there on their wheelchair, they'd go right down into Main Street. It'd be a mess. So you got to keep them inside. And I remember one time, Irene was coming down the hall. And I was like, I wonder if it's a good day or a bad day. I said, how's it going, Irene? She looked right at me and goes, you know me? I said, all right, it's going to be a bad day. She immediately reached in her pocketbook and pulled out a wad of spaghetti that she had taken from the dining room the night before. And she goes, if you get me out of here, you can have this. Now, I got to take it from her. I don't like, if not, she's going to smear it on the walls or throw it at somebody or eat it. I don't know. So I took it from her. She immediately thought we had a deal. She's like, all right, let's go. And now if you work in a nursing home, you become familiar with a term called redirect. That's what you got to do is redirect them. Try to get their attention on something else. I'm like, all right, I'll just redirect Irene. Brought her down, put some movies on. She's watching the movies every 5 minutes. She's like, are we going? I'm like, no, in a few minutes. Put her out in front of the window, let her watch the snow fall. Maybe this would deter her from wanting to go outside in the freezing cold weather. And she's looking out the window, and she's like, we can go that way. I'm like, I said, pull her away from the window. I did like 5 laps with her in the building, just trying to show her paintings, anything to get her redirected. Every 5 minutes, when are we going? I said, what the fuck? Don't you have Alzheimer's? How can you keep remembering you want to escape? Right? And finally, I was out of ideas. I said, fuck it. And I just brought her down the dining room, and I pulled her up to a table. I said, all right, you just hang out here for a minute. I'm going to go check and make sure the coast is clear. She was like, hurry up. And I just stepped out of view for a minute. I stepped back, and I said, good evening, madame. Will you be dining alone tonight? She was all confused. She's like, yeah, I guess so. What's for dinner? And I handed her back that fucking spaghetti. I was like, there you go, right? It's a true story. I love all those people. I go back there and actually do comedy in that little nursing home when I go back east. And man, I've had a blast here in Carson City. I have. I'm actually winning out there on the floor. Is that allowed? Right? You guys, anybody else winning tonight? That's why you're not allowed to talk about gambling, man. Yes. And keep your composure to the car. No, I live in Vegas. I was originally heading to L.A. That was like the game plan. And I just ended up in Vegas and lost all my money at the Plaza. I said, this looks like a good place to start over. Right? I live that kind of life. And now I'm up here looking fantastic, right? Don't go to the gym. This is all natural. What are you laughing at there? I don't go to the gym anymore. Did I tell you guys why? I was sick of all the women talking to me when I was done working out. Every time I'd be done working out, I'd be in the corner just wiping the sweat off, and they always just come up and they're like, hey, how you doing? Are you okay? Should we get help? I'm like, you know what? I'm not coming back here. Now, another place, I'll leave you with this. This is a little fun game you can play. When I'm on the road, I hate going to Walmart. I can't stand it. If there's anybody who works here, I'm sorry. I just hate your store. Because I actually told this once in Texas, and I almost started a riot. It was like, they were near the Walmart epicenter. They were all like, the museum's down the road. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? There's a Walmart museum? But if you go to Walmart, and you'll see when there's like 1,000 people and there's only 3 registers open, there's a fun little game you can play. It's illegal, so you gotta have some balls to do it. But just go and get behind an empty register and just yell out, I'll help whoever's next in line, please. And then when it fills up, like, you think I work at fucking Walmart? I'm out of here. Guys, I'm out of here. My name's Ralph Tutela. Give it up for Luke, the Carson Comedy Club. Hey, and turn it around tonight. Start winning some shit out there.
All right, keep it going for Ralph Tutela, everybody. Yeah. All right, come back here next week. We got Jen Murphy, so get your tickets at the front desk or online. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night. Peace.